Chapter 1 The Spark Before the Storm. Sam Howard had always liked December. There was something about the way the world softened under strings of lights and garlands that made him feel less cynical about life. Even the biting cold seemed tolerable when paired with the scent of cinnamon drifting from coffee shops and the faint hum of carols leaking from store speakers. This year, though, December felt different, better. He had Tina. He adjusted the collar of his navy peacoat as he stepped into the glow of the Christmas market downtown. The square was alive with chatter, laughter, and the occasional bark of a dog in a festive sweater. Snowflakes spiraled lazily from the sky, settling on his shoulders like tiny blessings. Sam scanned the crowd until he spotted her. Tina Brinkley, standing near a stall selling hand-painted ornaments, her auburn hair catching the light like copper threads. She turned, saw him, and smiled. That smile had undone him the first time they met at a friend's barbecue last January. 11 months later, it still had the same effect. "You're late," she teased, slipping her phone into her coat pocket. "Traffic," he said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. "And I had to stop and grab these." He held up a paper bag with 2 steaming cups of mulled cider. Her eyes softened. "You remembered." "Of course I did." He handed her a cup, feeling a flicker of pride. He wasn't the most romantic guy in the world, but he tried. And lately, he'd been thinking about trying harder, about rings and leases and conversations that started with "what if we." They wandered through the market, fingers brushing, laughter mingling with the sound of a brass band playing Jingle Bells. Sam felt good solid. Tina was warm beside him, her cheeks pink from the cold, her voice animated as she pointed out ornaments shaped like tiny gingerbread houses. "Imagine a tree full of these," she said, holding one up. "It'd look like a candy village." "Imagine the credit card bill," Sam countered, grinning. She rolled her eyes. "You're no fun." "I'm practical," he said, bumping her shoulder lightly. "Someone has to keep you from bankrupting us before we even." He stopped himself. The words start hanging unspoken in the air. He wasn't sure if she'd catch the implication. She didn't seem to. They bought a couple of ornaments, shared a pretzel, and strolled past a stall selling handmade candles. Sam felt the weight of the small velvet box in his coat pocket. Not an engagement ring, not yet, but a pair of earrings he'd picked out for her. A warm-up gift, he told himself. A way to gauge her reaction before he took the next step. By the time they reached her apartment, the city was cloaked in twilight, streetlights glowing like halos in the mist. Tina unlocked the door, and Sam followed her inside, shaking snow from his coat. Her place smelled faintly of vanilla and pine. The artificial tree in the corner twinkled with white lights, a few ornaments already dangling from its branches. "Make yourself at home," she said, kicking off her boots. "I need to send a quick email." Sam dropped onto the couch, pulling out his phone. He scrolled through notifications, half listening to the clack of her laptop keys from the dining table. A few minutes later, her phone buzzed on the coffee table. He glanced at it, then at her laptop, open, screen glowing. He wasn't snooping, not really. But when he stood to grab his cider from the counter, his eyes flicked to the screen. A chat window was open. He saw her name at the top, and below it, a string of messages with someone named Maddie. "I swear, it's exhausting pretending to be nice sometimes. I just want to tell him to leave me alone. How do I even start that conversation without sounding like a monster?" Sam froze. The words burned into his brain, each one a blade. Pretending to be nice. Tell him to leave me alone. His stomach knotted, the cider turning sour in his throat. He scrolled down just a little, but the rest was emojis and Maddie's replies. "Girl, just rip off the Band-Aid. You've been patient enough." Patient enough? Pretending? Sam felt the room tilt. He looked at Tina, still typing, oblivious. His chest tightened, a rush of humiliation and anger flooding his veins. He'd been planning a future with her. Hell, he'd been carrying around earrings like some lovesick fool, and all the while she'd been, what? Counting the days until she could dump him? He swallowed hard, forcing his voice steady. "Hey, I just remembered something. I need to go." Tina glanced up, surprised. "Now? We were going to..." "Yeah, sorry. Work thing." The lie tasted bitter, but he couldn't stay. Not after that. He grabbed his coat, ignoring the way her brows knitted in confusion. "Sam, is everything okay?" "Fine," he said too quickly. "I'll call you." He didn't. He walked out into the cold, the snow biting his cheeks, his heart pounding like a drum. Behind him, her apartment glowed warm and golden, but he didn't look back. He couldn't. Chapter 2 Silent Night, Ghosted Night. Sam didn't remember much about the walk home. Just the crunch of snow under his boots and the hollow thud of his own heartbeat. The city was still dressed in holiday cheer, but it all felt like a cruel joke now. Strings of lights blinked like mocking eyes, and the carolers on the corner sounded tinny and far away. He shoved his hands deep into his coat pockets, fingers brushing the velvet box. The earrings. He almost laughed. Sharp, bitter. What was he supposed to do with them now? Drop them in a donation bin? Mail them back with a note that said thanks for pretending to like me? By the time he reached his apartment, his jaw ached from clenching it. He tossed the box onto the kitchen counter and stared at it like it had personally betrayed him. Then he grabbed a beer from the fridge, popped the cap, and sank onto the couch. His phone buzzed. Tina. Hey, did something happen? You left so fast. Sam stared at the screen, thumb hovering. He could answer. He could demand an explanation. But what was the point? He'd seen enough. He typed nothing, locked the phone, and set it face down. Another buzz. Then another. Sam? Please call me. He ignored them all. Eventually, the buzzing stopped, replaced by silence so thick it pressed against his ears. He told himself he was done. Clean break. No messy conversations, no begging for clarity. She didn't want him, fine. He wasn't going to grovel for scraps of affection. Still, sleep didn't come easy. When it did, it was fractured, full of jagged dreams where Tina's laughter turned sharp and cruel, echoing in empty rooms. Tina Brinkley stared at her laptop like it had grown fangs. The chat window was still open, Maddie's words frozen on the screen. And then it hit her. The laptop had been open when Sam left. Her stomach dropped. Oh no, she whispered, scrolling up frantically. The conversation was exactly what she remembered. Her venting about that guy from the gym who wouldn't take a hint. She'd asked Maddie how to tell him to back off without sounding like a monster. Maddie had told her to rip off the Band-Aid. None of it was about Sam. But if Sam saw only the last few lines. Oh no, no, no. She grabbed her phone, firing off texts. Sam, did you see my laptop? Please call me. It's not what you think. No response. She tried calling. Straight to voicemail. Her pulse thudded in her ears as she paced the apartment, replaying every second of his abrupt exit. He'd been fine, laughing, teasing, then suddenly cold, distant, gone. And now he wasn't answering. She sank onto the couch, head in her hands. How could something so stupid blow up like this? She liked him, really liked him. She'd been thinking about their future, about maybe spending next Christmas together in a cabin somewhere. And now he probably thought she'd been faking everything. The tree twinkled in the corner, oblivious to the disaster unfolding. Outside, snow fell in soft, mocking silence. Tina wiped her eyes and stood. She wasn't giving up. If Sam didn't want her back, fine. But he was going to know the truth. She owed him that much. And maybe, just maybe, she could fix this before Christmas turned into a season of regrets. Chapter 3, The Fallout. Sam Howard had always prided himself on being decisive. No dithering, no second-guessing, just clean cuts when things went wrong. That's what he told himself as he sat in his apartment 2 days later, nursing his third cup of coffee and staring at the blinking cursor on his work email. He hadn't answered Tina. Not the texts, not the calls, not even the voicemail where her voice cracked halfway through saying his name. He told himself he was doing the mature thing. Why drag it out? Why invite explanations that would only make him feel worse? He'd seen the truth in black and white. Pretending to be nice, wanting him gone. That wasn't something you misread. Still, the silence gnawed at him. Every time his phone buzzed, his chest tightened. He'd muted notifications, but the phantom vibrations haunted him anyway. He even caught himself scrolling through old photos. Tina laughing at the summer fair, Tina holding a sparkler on the 4th of July, Tina curled up on his couch with a book. He slammed the phone down like it had burned him. Enough, he muttered, pushing back from the desk. He needed air. He needed distraction. Anything but sitting here marinating in humiliation. Across town, Tina was doing the opposite of distraction. She was in full crisis mode, her apartment a war zone of half-wrapped gifts and crumpled tissue paper. Maddie sat cross-legged on the floor, sipping peppermint tea and watching Tina pace like a wind-up toy. You're spiraling, Maddie said calmly. Sit down before you wear a hole in the rug. I can't sit down. Tina flung her hands in the air. He thinks I was talking about him. He thinks I've been pretending this whole time. Maddie, he won't answer me. Maybe give him space? Maddie suggested. Guys need time to. No. Tina whirled around, eyes blazing. If I give him space, he'll think I don't care. And I do care. I care so much it's making me insane. Maddie raised an eyebrow. So what's the plan? Storm his apartment with a boombox and a Christmas playlist. Don't tempt me, Tina muttered, grabbing her phone again. She typed another message, deleted it, typed again. Finally, she hit send. Sam, please, just hear me out. That chat wasn't about you. I swear. She stared at the screen, willing it to light up with a reply. Nothing. Just the soft glow of the Christmas tree mocking her with its cheer. By evening, Sam found himself at O'Malley's, the neighborhood bar strung with garlands and blinking lights. His friend Jake was already there, nursing a pint and wearing a Santa hat like he'd lost a bet. You look like someone stole your Christmas spirit, Jake said as Sam slid into the booth. Something like that, Sam muttered. Jake studied him. Trouble in paradise? Sam hesitated, then shrugged. Paradise was a scam. Ouch. Jake leaned back. Want to talk about it? No. Sam took a long pull from his beer. The last thing he needed was Jake dissecting his love life like a frog in biology class. But as the night wore on and the bar filled with laughter and carols, Sam felt the weight pressing harder. He wasn't angry anymore, just hollow. And under that hollowness, something worse, doubt. What if he'd jumped to conclusions? What if there was an explanation? He shoved the thought away, but it clung like static. Meanwhile, Tina was drafting an email. If he wouldn't answer texts, maybe he'd read something longer, something that explained everything without sounding desperate. She typed, deleted, retyped, her fingers trembling. Subject: please read Sam. I know you're hurt. I think you saw part of a conversation on my laptop. It wasn't about you. It was about a guy at the gym who wouldn't leave me alone. If you'd scrolled up, you'd have seen that. Care about you. I never pretended. Please let me explain in person. She stared at the words, then hit send before she could chicken out. The email whooshed into the void, and Tina sat back, heart pounding. Outside, snow fell in thick, silent sheets, blanketing the city in white. She hoped, prayed, that somewhere across town, Sam was reading her words and reconsidering. Chapter 4: A Chance Encounter. Sam Howard had been avoiding downtown like it was radioactive. Too many memories of Tina, her laugh echoing between market stalls, her hand warm in his. But Jake had insisted on dragging him to the annual Christmas charity gala at the Old Town Hall. Free food, free drinks, and maybe you'll meet someone who doesn't make you look like you swallowed a lemon, Jake had said. Sam wasn't in the mood to meet anyone. He was in the mood to brood quietly in a corner with a whiskey, which was exactly what he was doing when the universe decided to play its cruelest joke yet. Sam! The voice hit him like a snowball to the back of the neck. He turned, and there she was, Tina Brinkley, in a deep green dress that made her hair look like molten copper under the twinkling lights. She was holding a glass of champagne and wearing an expression that was equal parts hope and terror. For a second, Sam forgot how to breathe. Then his defenses snapped back into place like armor. Tina. She stepped closer, her heels clicking against the polished floor. I didn't know you'd be here. Neither did I, he said flatly, though his pulse was anything but calm. Jake, oblivious to the tension, grinned and clapped Sam on the shoulder. Small world, huh? I'm gonna hit the buffet. You two, catch up. And just like that, he vanished into the crowd, leaving Sam stranded in the worst possible scenario. Tina took a breath, her fingers tightening around the stem of her glass. Sam, please. I've been trying to reach you. I noticed, he said, keeping his tone cool. Didn't think there was much to say. Her eyes flickered with frustration. There's everything to say. You saw that chat, didn't you? Sam stiffened. So you admit it. I admit you saw part of a conversation and jumped to the worst conclusion. Her voice sharpened, then softened. Sam, that wasn't about you. He laughed short, bitter. Right? It wasn't. She set her glass down on a nearby table, her hands animated now. It was about a guy at the gym who keeps hitting on me. I was asking Maddie how to tell him to back off without sounding like a monster. Sam blinked. The words landed like pebbles on ice, cracking the surface of his certainty. The gym guy. Yes. Tina threw her hands up. Not you. Never you. She stopped, biting her lip. And for a moment her bravado slipped, revealing something raw underneath. I care about you, Sam. I thought you knew that. Sam opened his mouth, but before he could speak, a voice boomed from the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, time for the Christmas raffle. Everyone grab a ticket. The crowd surged, cutting between them like a tide. Sam found himself jostled toward the stage. Tina swept in the opposite direction. He caught a glimpse of her over a sea of Santa hats, her eyes locked on his, pleading. Then she was gone. Sam stood frozen, ticket in hand, heart pounding. The noise of the room blurred into a dull roar. Her words replayed in his head. Not you. Never you. Could she be telling the truth? Had he blown up something real over a misunderstanding? The announcer called out numbers. People cheered, and Sam barely noticed when someone shoved a plate of gingerbread cookies into his hand. All he could think was that the ground beneath his certainty had shifted, and he wasn't sure where to step next. Chapter 5: Misunderstandings Multiply. Sam Howard had never hated Christmas carols before, but right now, as Deck the Halls blared from the speakers of the community center, he was ready to deck someone, preferably Jake. This is your fault, Sam muttered, adjusting the oversized elf hat Jake had shoved onto his head. Jake grinned, juggling a box of donated toys. You're welcome. Volunteering at the toy drive is good for your soul. And hey, maybe you'll meet someone who... Don't finish that sentence, Sam warned. He was halfway through sorting stuffed animals when the universe struck again. Sam! He froze. Slowly, like a man turning to face a firing squad, he looked up. Tina stood across the room, wearing a red sweater with tiny snowflakes stitched along the collar. Her hair was pulled back, and she was holding a clipboard like she meant business. Oh, fantastic, Sam muttered under his breath. Tina's eyes widened. You're volunteering? Apparently, Sam said, shooting Jake a murderous look. Jake waved cheerfully and disappeared toward the snack table, abandoning Sam to his fate. Tina approached, her steps hesitant but determined. Sam, can we talk? He opened his mouth to deflect, but before he could, a harried woman in a reindeer apron swooped in. You too. Perfect timing. We need someone to hand out gifts in the photo booth. Santa's running late. Sam blinked, Photo booth. Yep. The woman thrust a sack of wrapped presents at him. Smile big. Make it festive. Then she was gone, leaving Sam holding the bag, literally, and Tina staring at him like the universe had a twisted sense of humor. Minutes later, Sam found himself sitting in a giant chair under a backdrop of candy canes. Tina perched beside him, both of them flanked by a line of excited kids. The photographer adjusted the lights. Closer, she said cheerfully. You two look like strangers. Sam shifted awkwardly. Tina leaned in, her shoulder brushing his. He felt the warmth through his sweater and hated how much he missed it. Sam, she whispered as the first kid climbed onto his lap. Please listen. That chat. Smile, the photographer chirped. Sam plastered on a grin that felt like it might crack his face. The kid beamed, clutching a gift, and Sam handed over another from the sack. Between photos, Tina kept trying. It wasn't about you. I swear. Sam kept his voice low, his hands busy with ribbons and boxes. You expect me to believe that? Yes. Her eyes flashed. Why would I spend 11 months with someone I didn't want? Why would I? Big smiles, the photographer interrupted again. Sam gritted his teeth and smiled like a man in pain. By the time the last kid scampered off, Sam was ready to bolt. He stood, brushing glitter from his jeans, but Tina blocked his path. Sam, please, she said softly. I care about you. I've been trying to fix this because you matter to me. Her voice cracked on the last word, and something inside him shifted. Just a fraction, but enough to make him hesitate. Before he could respond, Jake reappeared, grinning like a fool. Great job, Santa's helpers. Oh, and Sam, funny thing. I accidentally signed you up for the caroling group. Starts in 10 minutes. Sam stared at him. You what? Jake winked. You're welcome. Tina bit back a laugh, and for the first time in days, Sam felt the corner of his mouth twitch. Just a little. Chapter 6 Intervention by Christmas Spirit. Sam Howard had never sung in public. Not once. Not even at karaoke nights when Jake bribed him with free beer. And yet here he was, standing in front of a church with a group of strangers in elf hats, clutching a sheet of lyrics like it was a legal summons. This is cruel and unusual punishment, he muttered. Beside him, Tina stifled a laugh. You look like you're about to plead the fifth. I might, Sam said grimly. What's the penalty for refusing to sing Frosty the Snowman? Social exile, she teased, her eyes sparkling. And possibly a lump of coal. Sam shot her a look, but the corner of his mouth betrayed him, twitching upward. He hated that she could still do that, make him smile when he was supposed to be nursing righteous indignation. The choir leader, a sprightly woman in a sequined sweater, clapped her hands. Positions, everyone. Big smiles. Remember, you're spreading Christmas cheer. Sam muttered something about spreading misery, but Tina elbowed him gently. Come on, it's just a few songs. Easy for you to say, he grumbled. You can actually carry a tune. She grinned. Stick close. I'll cover for you. And so they sang, or rather, Tina sang while Sam mouthed words and prayed no one noticed. The crowd clapped, kids danced, and snowflakes drifted lazily from the sky, turning the scene into something out of a holiday card. Sam tried not to think about how right it felt standing next to her, their shoulders brushing, their voices mingling, even if his was mostly a whisper. Halfway through Silent Night, Tina's gloved hand brushed his. He didn't pull away. For one dizzying second, the world narrowed to that touch, that warmth, and the memory of what it used to feel like simple, easy, good. Then the wind picked up, sharp and sudden, whipping snow into their faces. The choir leader squealed. Oh dear. Looks like the storm's early. Sam glanced at the sky. Thick clouds rolled in, swallowing the stars. The temperature dropped like a stone. People scattered, laughing and shrieking as the first real gust sent garlands flying. Great, Sam muttered. Blizzard karaoke. Tina laughed, tugging his sleeve. Come on, we need to get inside. They ducked into the church lobby with a handful of stragglers, shaking snow from their coats. The storm roared outside, rattling the stained glass windows. Sam checked his phone, no signal. Perfect. Looks like we're stuck, Tina said, breathless, her cheeks pink from the cold. Sam stared at her, heart thudding. Stuck, with her, in a warm room that smelled like pine and candle wax, while the world outside turned white. Jake appeared, grinning like a man who'd orchestrated the whole thing. Well, guess you two have some time to catch up. Sam glared. I hate you. Jake winked. Merry Christmas, buddy. Chapter 7 Cracks in the Ice. The church lobby smelled faintly of pine and candle wax, a cozy refuge against the storm raging outside. Snow lashed the stained glass windows, wind howling like a choir gone rogue. Sam Howard stood near the radiator, rubbing his hands together, trying to ignore the fact that Tina Brinkley was sitting just a few feet away, her sweater dusted with melting snowflakes. Jake, of course, was thriving. He'd commandeered a tray of gingerbread cookies and was chatting up a volunteer in a reindeer headband like this was the best night of his life. Sam shot him a look that promised retribution, but Jake only grinned and gave a thumbs up, the universal sign for you're welcome. Sam sighed and turned his attention to the window. The world outside was a blur of white. No way they were leaving anytime soon. Looks bad out there, Tina said softly. Sam glanced at her. She was perched on the edge of a wooden bench, her hands wrapped around a paper cup of cocoa. Her cheeks were pink, her hair slightly damp, and she looked, well, like Tina. Familiar and warm and heartbreakingly close. Yeah, he said, his voice rougher than he intended. Looks like we're stuck. A beat of silence stretched between them, filled only by the muffled carols drifting from the main hall. Then Tina set her cocoa down and stood, her expression determined. Sam, we need to talk. He stiffened. Tina. No. She crossed the room, stopping in front of him. You've been avoiding me for days. You won't answer my calls, my texts, my email. And I get it, you're hurt. But you're hurt over something that isn't true. Sam's jaw tightened. I saw the messages. You saw part of them, she said, her voice steady but urgent. You didn't scroll up. If you had, you'd know I was talking about a guy at the gym who won't leave me alone. Not you. Never you. Her words hit like a crack in ice. Sharp, splintering, impossible to ignore. Sam stared at her, his chest tight. You expect me to believe that? Yes, she said simply. Because it's the truth. He wanted to argue, to cling to his anger like a shield. But something in her eyes, raw, unguarded, made the words stick in his throat. He looked away, focusing on the radiator, the cookies, anything but the ache in his chest. I thought. He stopped, swallowing hard. I thought I mattered to you. Tina's breath caught. You do. You always have. The storm roared outside, rattling the windows like punctuation. Sam felt the fight draining out of him, leaving only exhaustion and a hollow ache. He'd been so sure, so certain, and now he wasn't sure of anything except how much he missed her. Before he could speak, Jake appeared, grinning like a man who just won a bet. Good news. They're setting up sleeping bags in the hall. Looks like we're having a Christmas lock-in. Sam closed his eyes. Fantastic. Tina bit back a laugh, and for the first time in days, Sam felt something shift. A flicker of warmth, fragile but real. Chapter 8, The Truth Unwrapped. The church hall looked like a sleepover gone rogue. Sleeping bags lined the floor, volunteers passed out cocoa, and Jake was leading a group in a raucous rendition of Jingle Bell Rock that sounded like a crime against music. Sam Howard sat on the edge of a folding chair, staring at the storm outside, his thoughts a tangled mess. He felt Tina before he saw her, her presence like a shift in the air. She approached slowly, holding her phone like it was a peace offering. Sam, she said softly, can we try again? He hesitated, then nodded. She sat beside him, close enough that he could smell the faint vanilla of her shampoo. His chest tightened. I want you to see this, she said, unlocking her phone. She opened the chat with Maddie and scrolled. Up, past the lines he'd seen, past the jagged words that had gutted him. At the top, the truth waited like a lifeline. How do I tell this guy at the gym to leave me alone? He keeps asking me out even though I've said no. Maddie, ugh, men. Just rip off the band-aid. Tina, I swear. It's exhausting pretending to be nice sometimes. I just want to tell him to leave me alone. Sam stared at the screen, the words blurring as his stomach dropped. The gym guy. Not him. Never him. He'd been so sure, so righteous, and so wrong. He swallowed hard. Tina, don't, she said quickly, her voice trembling. Don't apologize yet. Just tell me why you didn't ask. Why you didn't give me a chance to explain. Sam dragged a hand through his hair, shame burning hot. I thought I saw the truth, and I didn't want to hear you confirm it. I didn't want to sit there and beg someone to stay when they'd already decided to go. Her eyes softened, but her voice stayed firm. I never decided to go. The words cracked something inside him. He looked at her, really looked, and saw the hurt beneath her calm, the vulnerability she'd been carrying for days. He wanted to fix it, to rewind time, to erase the hollow silence he'd built between them. I was an idiot, he said finally, his voice low. A proud, stubborn idiot. She let out a shaky laugh. You said it, not me. Before he could respond, Jake appeared, grinning like a man who just discovered fire. Group photo time. Everyone squeeze in. Sam, Tina, front and center. You're the cute couple. Sam groaned. Jake, no arguments. Jake herded them toward the crowd, ignoring Sam's glare. Smile big. It's Christmas. Sam found himself shoulder to shoulder with Tina, her laughter bubbling despite everything. And for the first time in days he felt something thaw, a fragile warmth, a flicker of hope. As the camera flashed, Sam thought, maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe it was the messy, ridiculous middle of something worth saving. Chapter 9, Making Amends. Sam Howard had never been the grand gesture type. He was practical, measured, the guy who bought sensible gifts and booked dinner reservations 2 weeks in advance. But tonight, practicality was useless. Tonight, he needed something big, something that said I was wrong, and you matter more than my pride. The idea had come to him in a flash while staring at the blinking lights outside his apartment window. And now, 2 hours later, he was standing in front of Tina's building with a box of Christmas lights, a thermos of cocoa, and a heart pounding like a drumline. Snow fell in soft sheets, muffling the city's hum. Sam glanced up at her balcony. Dark, quiet. He hoped she was home. He hoped she'd open the door before frostbite claimed his ears. He plugged in the first strand of lights, looping them around the railing. Then another, and another. By the time he was done, her balcony glowed like a beacon, warm, golden, impossible to ignore. He stepped back, breath clouding in the cold, and pulled out his phone. Look outside, he texted. Seconds ticked by. Then the balcony door slid open, and Tina stepped out, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes wide. Sam! He swallowed hard. Hey! She stared at the lights, then at him. What are you doing? Trying to fix what I broke, he said, his voice rough. I was an idiot. I saw something, assumed the worst, and walked away without giving you a chance. You didn't deserve that. Her breath hitched, visible in the cold. Sam! He took a step closer, snow crunching under his boots. You matter to me, Tina. More than I've let myself admit. I was thinking about our future, about rings and leases and stupid things like what color couch we'd fight over. And then I saw that chat and thought it was all a lie. I didn't even give you the chance to tell me the truth. Tina's eyes shimmered in the glow of the lights. I tried, she whispered. I tried so hard. I know. His chest tightened. And I ignored you because I was too proud to face the possibility that I'd been wrong. But I was wrong. About everything. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the velvet box. The earrings he'd bought weeks ago. The ones that had felt like a promise. He opened it, the silver catching the light. These were supposed to be your Christmas gift, he said softly. I thought I'd never get the chance to give them to you. But if you'll let me, I want to start over. No assumptions. No ghosting. Just us. For a moment, the world held its breath. Snow fell, lights twinkled, and Sam stood there, heart in his hands. Then Tina smiled. A slow, trembling smile that cracked through the ice between them. She stepped forward, blanket trailing like a cape, and wrapped her arms around him. You're still an idiot, she murmured against his chest. But you're my idiot. Sam laughed, relief flooding him like warmth. He held her close, the lights casting a golden halo around them, and thought, maybe Christmas miracles weren't just for movies. Chapter 10: A Christmas Kiss. Christmas Eve at Jake's apartment was chaos wrapped in tinsel. The place looked like Santa's workshop had exploded, garlands draped over lamps, stockings hung from every available surface, and a tree so overloaded with ornaments it leaned like a tipsy guest. Sam Howard stood near the kitchen island, nursing a glass of spiced cider and wondering how his life had gone from solitary brooding to this whirlwind of laughter and glitter. Across the room, Tina Brinkley was laughing with Maddie, her cheeks glowing in the soft light. She wore a deep red dress that made Sam's pulse trip over itself, and every time she glanced his way, his chest tightened with something that felt suspiciously like joy. Jake clapped him on the back, nearly sloshing his drink. You look less like a man sentenced to death. Progress. Sam smirked. Don't push it. Jake grinned. Hey, I'm just glad you two stopped acting like characters in a tragic opera. Sam rolled his eyes, but he couldn't deny it. Things felt different now. Better. He'd spent the past 2 days making amends in small ways. Texts that turned into calls that turned into long conversations where laughter slipped in like sunlight. Tonight was the first time they'd seen each other since the balcony lights, and Sam was determined not to screw it up. The evening unfolded in a blur of holiday cheer. Carols sung off-key, a gingerbread decorating contest that ended with Jake wearing more frosting than the cookies, and a secret Santa exchange that went hilariously wrong when Maddie accidentally gifted Jake a scented candle labeled Winter Romance. Sam laughed until his sides hurt, and every time Tina laughed too, he felt the world tilt back into place. Later, when the crowd thinned and the tree lights cast a golden glow over the room, Sam found Tina by the window, watching snow fall in lazy spirals. He approached quietly, heart thudding like a drum. Hey, he said softly. She turned, her smile warm. Hey. For a moment, they just stood there, the hum of distant carols wrapping around them like a blanket. Then Sam took a breath, the words heavy but certain. I meant what I said the other night, he murmured. About starting over. No assumptions. No ghosting. Just us. Tina's eyes shimmered, and she nodded slowly. I want that too. Relief surged through him, bright and dizzying. He reached for her hand, fingers threading through hers, and it felt like coming home. Outside, a car horn blared. Someone laughed, and Jake shouted something about mistletoe. Sam ignored it all. He leaned in, his forehead brushing hers, and whispered, Merry Christmas, Tina. She smiled, her breath warm against his lips. Merry Christmas, Sam. And then he kissed her, soft, lingering, full of everything he'd been too proud to say. The tree lights twinkled, snow fell like confetti, and for the first time in weeks, Sam felt the world settle into something simple and good. Chapter 11: Christmas Morning Chaos. Sam Howard had braced himself for awkwardness, but nothing could have prepared him for Tina's family Christmas. Her parents' house looked like a holiday catalog had exploded. Garlands on every banister, stockings for humans and pets alike, and a tree so massive it looked like it had been airlifted from Rockefeller Center. Sam. Tina's mom swept him into a hug before he could even take off his coat. We've heard so much about you. Sam shot Tina a look. She grinned, cheeks pink. All good things, she whispered. Mostly good things, Sam hoped. The morning unfolded in a blur of wrapping paper and laughter. Sam found himself wedged between Tina's dad, who insisted on telling him every detail about his train set, and her cousin, who kept asking if Sam was the guy from the balcony light story. Thanks, Jake. Then came the gift exchange. Sam handed Tina a small box, heart thudding. She opened it slowly, revealing the silver earrings he'd carried around for weeks. Her eyes softened, shimmering like the tree lights. They're beautiful, she whispered. Thank you. Sam smiled, relief washing over him, until Tina's mom handed him a box the size of a microwave. He tore off the paper to reveal a sweater, bright red, covered in sequined reindeer. Jake, lounging on the couch with a cookie, grinned. Put it on, man. It's tradition. Sam groaned, but Tina laughed so hard she nearly spilled her cocoa. And honestly, he didn't mind. Not when her laughter sounded like Christmas morning itself. Chapter 12, Futures and Frosting. A week later, Sam and Tina sat in her kitchen, surrounded by the aftermath of a gingerbread house competition that had gone spectacularly wrong. Icing streaked the counters, gumdrops rolled across the floor, and their house looked like it had survived an earthquake. Architectural masterpiece, Sam said dryly, surveying the wreckage. Tina snorted. We should stick to our day jobs. They laughed, and the sound felt easy, like slipping back into something familiar but stronger now, tempered by everything they'd weathered. Sam reached for her hand, fingers sticky with frosting, and didn't care. I've been thinking, he said quietly, about next year. Tina tilted her head. Next year. Christmas, he said. Maybe somewhere quiet. A cabin. Just us. Her smile was slow, warm. I'd like that. Sam exhaled. Tension he hadn't realized he was carrying melting away. They didn't need grand declarations or perfect gingerbread houses. They just needed this laughter, warmth, and the promise of more. Chapter 13, New Year's Eve Epilogue. The city pulsed with celebration, fireworks painting the sky in bursts of gold and crimson. Sam stood on Tina's balcony, the same one he'd strung with lights weeks ago, watching snowflakes drift like confetti. Inside, music thumped, friends laughed, and Jake was leading a countdown with the enthusiasm of a man auditioning for a game show. 10, 9. Tina slipped out, cheeks flushed from the warmth inside. She wore a silver dress that shimmered like starlight, and Sam's breath caught. Ready for midnight? She teased. Always, he said, pulling her close. 3, 2, 1. Cheers erupted inside as fireworks exploded overhead. Sam kissed her soft, certain, full of everything they'd fought for and found again. When they broke apart, Tina grinned, her eyes bright. New year, she whispered. New start. Sam smiled, brushing a snowflake from her hair. Same us, just better. And as the city roared and the sky burned bright, Sam knew this wasn't just a happy ending. It was the beginning of something worth every messy, ridiculous step. The end.